Good.
Yeah, it's fast.
It started pouring right when these ended.
Well, at least right when it ended.
It was pouring, but yeah. All right,
It's
it's
worse.
time. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming out in the snow. We don't have anyone here who has asked to speak on any items that are not on the agenda, so we'll just start right in with the agenda. And the first item on the report of the secretary, we're going to need to table again until the next meeting. But we can do the second item, which is a motion for the minutes of Wednesday, November 20th.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, November 20th, 2019.
Second.
All right. Anybody have any changes or corrections? I had a couple things this time, actually. Elaine, on the first page on the report, under the report of the chair and Paul's report on the town meeting, at the end it says town's medical programs. Between medical and programs, can you add marijuana in there?
Yes.
Because that's what it was, right? The medical
No.
marijuana?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh,
it
I'm
was
sorry.
literally the medical program.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just wanted to add.
Take it back.
more.
Well, that's what we've been talking about.
Marijuana.
That's what they've been talking about. I'm sorry. I apologize.
This is new.
I apologize. My error. So sorry.
We literally talked about their health insurance.
Oh, health insurance. Oh, so that, well, should we say their health
should have meant
insurance?
that.
Because
Should
medical
say
programs
that.
doesn't make sense.
It was more than health insurance.
Yeah,
though,
there's
so.
like medical savings accounts and.
How about medical and health insurance?
Yeah, maybe that might be better. Medical
Okay.
program / health insurance. Because there's
Okay.
kind of
That
three
way.
things that kind of all came
You can throw
together.
marijuana in there too if it makes you feel
Well, it just, I apologize. That's what we've been talking
Yeah.
about at those meetings. And then I had a couple questions on the next page. John, I had a question for you.
Yep.
And actually Heidi, maybe even, under where Melanie was reporting, she said, procedural fluency that every student needs to know by the end of first grade and third grade? Is it just those two grades?
No, it was each grade.
Okay, so should it be
By the end of each grade?
first through third?
Well,
Or, I just wasn't sure.
It really, which paragraph are you in?
It's the third paragraph under the report of the superintendent.
Where it says, Ms. Dodge Albright stated the next step.
Yeah, and it's at the end there, it says, every student needs to know by the end of first grade and end of third grade.
No, it's every grade.
Every grade,
K through
there's
five.
Okay,
those
Yeah.
benchmarks. yeah.
Each grade identified like their top 5.
Yeah.
okay, so
By the
needs to
end
know
of
by the
each
end of
grade.
pre-K.
By the end of
each
each
grade.
grade.
Pre-K through 5.
Okay, each grade,
Yeah, I think she was using first grade as an example.
pre-K through 5. Okay, it just didn't make sense to me that we would only care about first and third. Just skip the others, good luck.
Every other year.
And then under the student report where she talks about the holiday bazaar, I think that should be bazaar instead of bizarre.
Are you sure?
Tomato, tomato.
Both.
So there's two instances of the bazaar.
Could be. But it's all
Checker
bizarre.
betrayed you.
Yes, Bill Chuck did portray you.
Thank you.
And what else? Yeah, can I ask you, did you?
Yeah, no, that's, yeah, I would have put it differently.
Yeah, can we restate that?
Yeah,
Okay.
the first sentence under my report on finances where I said that, where it says here that I said that he stated that cash flow was running low. I think probably a better way to put that, let me think about it for a minute, is something more like, is cash flow is, what, a bit behind?
Running behind the previous year. Is
Yeah.
that-
A bit behind.
Yeah. is better than running low, because it's,
Yeah,
we're
it's
we're
not
still,
really
we still have,
coming.
and I think you said that in the following sentence, that
Mhm.
there's still sufficient money in the reserve to cover an additional payroll.
I just don't want to send alarm bells off to
Right.
anybody
No.
for something that isn't
Steve,
true.
We're out of money, and we'll, no,
And if you keep reading down, it clarifies
Yes.
stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah,
that
okay.
could be an
Good point.
alarmist sentence.
Sometimes they get to that second sentence and that's it, you know,
Yeah.
they'll forget the other stuff, you know,
Yeah.
so, absolutely.
Did anybody else have anything? Okay. All right. All those in favor then? It was the 5 of us that were there, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Okay, and as far as my report, it's very quick. The only thing, I have a reminder of the town officials meeting, which I believe Joe is going to attend
Yes.
on the 18th, and that is at the superintendent's office.
That's correct.
Excellent.
It's in my calendar.
All right, thank you, Joe. Mr. Gaverly?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. If you remember, when we met back in July and August, we kind of created a list of different topics that we wanted to share with the board. One of the things we talked about was all the extracurricular opportunities the kids had at the elementary schools this week, and then we would do the same thing at the high school. So I've asked the principals just to give you kind of a brief presentation of just some different things that are available to the kids. We've talked about Pokemon clubs and Kool-Aid clubs and kind of some different things, and just kind of have a chance to kind of hear, a few years ago you gave us these great, great opportunities to be able to kind of tailor what we needed, what the kids needed and their desires, and so our staff has done a fantastic job of that. So we just want to kind of share some of those things with you this evening.
Excellent.
So, Mo, do you want to start? If I start at that end, is that?
I can, yeah.
Okay. That was enthusiastic.
Well, I just want to start with, given the developmental ages for our kids, it looks very differently at our school, probably central than it might in the other grades, and for a couple of reasons. One, they're really little. In Elliott, we don't have many walkers, and without an activity bus, in the spirit of equity, we try to offer as much as we can to students within the school day, so all kids have access, rather than those few that have parents that are available to transport them after school or before school.
Yeah.
So we've partnered with our parent group, the Peeps, and with some MEF money along the way too, to really stretch that money as far as we can to offer a whole host of programming for kids. Some of the clubs that we have that happen like during lunch or before, maybe right after school, would be a drama club. We have a ukulele club. Our yearbook, we are trying to have that student driven, and so that has become a yearbook club, so the kids are really involved in the design. These are all mostly for third graders. Every now and again, we have kids that are interested in developing a rock band, and so we have all kinds of lunch break rock bands where they would come in once a week and go to the music room and create music. We have a math league that we have actually quite a number of third graders that participate in the math league, and one of the things we're proud of is that just sort of organically, it's really emerged as a very strong contingency of little girl mathematicians, and they are scoring very high in that, and really empowered, so that's good. And then we have some teachers that teach knitting during lunches too, so we have all kinds of kids that are knitting all the time. And then what happens within the classroom and for a whole school, with partnering with that money, combining it, we pay for every field trip. Our kids go to Strawberry Bay for immigration. We go to the music hall for plays. Our third graders got to go and play with the Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra, so with their recorders in the audience, and then partnered with the symphony. Trips to the State House, the Gundalow trip on the Piscataqua. This year we're going to do Reads Across America. And the list goes on and on, visiting, walking field trips to the library. We bring as many guests as we can in. We have Mr. Negley every year that brings in our inflatable planetarium, which is my favorite day every year. I can't, I'm always dreading this time year. He's going to say he retires, because he is such a big hit. We bring in the Cromwell Center for, which is abilities awareness, and that's part of like our approach with civil rights. The Blue Ocean Society has come to us to talk about oceanography and preservation of the oceans, and we brought a full-size inflatable whale. our Veterans Day, our authors. We have as many local main authors as we can come in and teach the craft of writing or sharing literature with kids. Ryan Higgins, Matt Tavares is coming in this weekend, and his latest book, Dasher, just hit the New York Times bestseller list, and so to have him able to come in and talk to kids about his work is really powerful. And then, we have our grade level things like the Silent Museum and the Pumpkin Project, which is a character traits activity for our third graders. Probably our big thing every year, and Ann Schistler just does such an amazing job in developing enrichment for the whole school. She comes up with a different service learning project every single year and is connected with Read Across America. So this year it's going to be focused on Maine and Maine's birthday. Kids always read and donate a penny a book or a penny a chapter, and then they also create artwork through Square One that we sell, and it all goes to a project. One year we did the Heifer Project and raised enough money to buy every animal in the ark. And another year we sponsored the Hope Elephants up in Hope, Maine. And the learning that goes with that is we Skyped with the veterinarian that started rescuing those, the circus elephants. And one year we sponsored a biblioboro with a man in, I forget which South American country, that he wanted kids to learn the love of reading, so he built shelves on the back of a burro and he travels from village to village. So we bought books printed in Spanish to send to him to stay in the library. So every year that's something different that we do. I could go on and on. It changes every year based on interest and opportunity. Like last year it was the North Island Lighthouse. That was a big thing, and we rolled that out through a whole year. And then there's Jan Sarabona and the Elliott Historic Society that has an ever-growing presence in our school. And last year and this year she's brought a lot of local residents in to talk and share oral history with our kids. And she's taken it upon herself and some of those volunteers to our display case in the hallway. She's made that like a miniature Elliott History Museum, and she changes it month to month. Like right now it's toys from the past and that she's put in there. So the kids get so much fun just stopping by and seeing, the history of their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents right in town.
Awesome. Thanks, Mom.
Sure. I really just listed things that we do after school, but I can think of everything that we do.
And I think the idea is just we really want to kind of show, like you talk about educating the entire child. I mean, this is just kind of just a sampling of the different things we have for our kids and opportunities.
Definitely. So we started with the enrichment when we started Odyssey of the Mind a few years ago. So we do offer every year for first, second, and third grade. It's just been a really big hit because kids now are really interested in it. Goes through all the way through middle school, and that's just been a huge opportunity, and it's been a wonderful program that encourages creative thinking and problem solving, and they begin their career at Central and they get really hooked and they want to keep on going, and had kids go all the way to World, so it's been a wonderful opportunity. We also, and I can't believe it's been 7 years, but we've had Girls on the Run for 7 years now, so we do 2 sessions every year, and again, that feeds, I know they do a running club at the Great Works School. It's hooked really on running, and it filled every year. We were wondering if it's going to get filled, and we do. And sometimes we have kids from Elliott also come over, so it's offered to really any third grade student. We have continued WOW, which is crazy. I think it's been we started WOW at Elliott probably 16 years ago. I think when we.
I remember WOW.
My kids
I was going to say, my kids went to WOW.
And then when I moved over to Central, we started WOW at Central as well. We offer wonders, and it's still going strong through many different hands. And we've had, I can't even name the different. We've had everything over the years, from hip hop class to just board games to geocaching. I mean, any idea anyone has, we try to make it into a WOW program. So it's just been really successful and keeps on going all these years. So that's our big after school. It's twice a year, and we actually now expanded it to usually 2 days, like a Monday and a Tuesday. So it's keeps growing. We also have after-school cooking classes. We've done with different chefs that come in and use ingredients from our hoop house, and we hook into what we do during the day, because that's a huge part of our enrichment, is that every child gets to cook at least twice a year with local chefs, and use as much ingredients as we can from our hoop house. So we've had after-school cooking. We've had Lego robotics after school, again with different enrichment money, and that's now part of what we do during the day, but it started as an after-school program, and now it's something that we do, just the third grade does. So I think that happens a lot with after-school enrichment. You kind of pilot it and then realize that that's something you want with everybody. We do host, we partner with the rec program, so we offer med science, we offer local language, so we offer different opportunities. Anytime that we can partner with somebody else to bring it into our school. What else? So it's the fall harvest. It's something that we've started now, and it is after school, but it's also, we cook during the day. So this is our second annual fall harvest, where the Sesslers come and run like a restaurant. It's amazing what they can do, and it's a free dinner for all students at night. And it's just like to get this huge gourmet dinner for just a donation. So that's been something wonderful that we've started. We've been doing a art and literacy night and a PE and literacy night every year. So that's been after school as well, where our teacher will run, we do art with parents, and then at the same time it has to do with a book that we've picked out. So we're trying to put those together, and again, in a PE and literacy night. And that's really, a lot of what we do after school. We do so much. We do a lot during the day as well, but those are the ones that kind of stood out when we're thinking about enrichment and things that really can hook kids and keep their passion and keep it going.
Awesome. Thanks, Nadia.
And at the Great Works, a lot of it's similar, I think, to Elliott and Central. That there's a lot of things that go on during the day. When you talk about the rock band, Janice Morrow, I don't know what site it was on, but she said, Jerry, you got to come look in the closet, and because there was one particular kiddo that she really, that was a hook for him. And so she got bass guitar, amplifier. There's some organization in North Berwick that just gives away these instruments just to be able to keep music alive. And so, this started because really of one kiddo. And it's, obviously a lot of kids will benefit.
Is that the Continuum Arts Collective?
I believe that is, yeah.
That's Marty England.
What's that?
Marty England.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
So it's just, I drive up to the barn and,
Yep.
get all of this. So there's a lot of things that go on during the day, just like Mo and Nina said. After school, we just have a ton of different things for intramurals. An intramural will be 5 or 6 nights after school, and we run the things the kids are interested in. And they have a lot of voice if they want something. But we do the traditional basketball, soccer, rap ball, outdoor games, archery. They do snowshoeing after school. So just whatever the kids want to do. Craig Pollock runs a ton of those. We do a lot of music, and Janice does the ukulele club. And so we have 2 or 3 sessions of that just because kids are really interested in that. Rhonda Miller does a brain explosion art club, and it's a group of kids that just love art. And again, we do 2 or 3 sessions of that. We have a newspaper club. We've got a video club. And so these, just trying to we just try to offer things to a lot of different kids. Crystal Velamir, who does all our tech, she runs Monday and Tuesday after school. Monday's 4th graders, Tuesday's 5th graders, and it's computer, and so they're doing Scratch, and it's just amazing what those kids are doing with the computers. Again, that goes through anyone can join, but there is a particular group of kiddos that just love that. Going through, we got the civil rights team. John talks about the Pokemon Club. There was a kiddo came to me probably 3 weeks ago, and said, Mr. Minnell, we want to do a Pokemon Club. And I said, what is a Pokemon Club? And they said, we'll run it, and I said, well, we just have to find an adult to do it. So I went on there, I sent the teachers an email, the staff an email, and said, if anyone, I've got a group of kids, and it was 3 kids, okay? that wanted this club, and so I sent an email, is anyone interested in doing it? I had 7 teachers respond, that said that they would do that. They said, you know, we don't have to plan anything, do we? And I said, no, these kids. Now,
Bring their own
today,
decks.
we had an
Know what a Pokemon is?
Right. We had an RTI meeting today, and it was I had to get up and close the door because the Pokemon Club was across the hallway. But there was a group of kiddos, and what they were doing, they got their little characters, but they were building cardboard houses for their characters. And it was just, they were just having a ball.
Yeah.
So again, we try to give a lot of student voice. We've got the Girls Running Club. John talks about that Kool-Aid Club. And that started, we got a grant from the MEF, and it's academics in disguise. And it kind of goes along with like what the middle school, the old All-Stars. And it was not students at risk, but students that really hadn't, you know, fully, the engagement in school may not be as great as we'd like, or maybe some of their opportunities in some of these kiddos wasn't what we'd like. And so that started last year. And they would do, we had 3 teachers involved in that. And they would take a month theme. So like it might be veterinary, okay, a vet clinic. And so what they would do is they would research something about vets. We would have a vet come in and talk to the kids. Then they would, one week, they might make pet treats to take home. And then they would go visit a place. One last year, we took them to the Sea Dogs game. A lot of those kiddos had never been able to go to the Sea Dogs game. So it was just, we have a group of, last year it was about 20 kids, this year it's about 15, and it's kind of handpicked for those kiddos, but just to expose them to a few more things. And again, that started with an MEF grant. Let's see. And also the Thursday afternoon, I mean, our kids leave at 1:40, but we have about 80 kids that stay after school until 4 o'clock. That's a long time after school. And I think you've heard me say we divide it up into an academic time, a recess, and then we do an activity. And so the ed techs run that. But we also try to expand that. So like we have John Klausner who comes in, who's a local author. So he comes in and he works with a group of kids. I talked with a lady from the, it's not the Historical Society, but it's, it'll come to me when I get on the car. But it's a group, she's gonna come in and do colonial crafts. So again, we offer a variety of different, you know, things for our kiddos, or something they're interested in. So, I mean, I can go on, you know, we've got chess club, I don't know, what's on this, Catherine? Did I get anything else? Oh, the play, I mean, the play, which is just, I love when I came here the other night to see the play, and I'm like, you know, that kiddo was in the play. And Janice Morrow, who was sitting right behind me, because she does the music for our play, and she is just like in tears, because a lot of those kiddos got to start right at the 4th and 5th grade. And then we have like a hiking club, you know, Hillary Hummerson does a hiking club after school, and that's connected with the high school kids. And so it's sometimes during the day, sometimes it's in the evenings, sometimes it's on a Saturday. So I think we have a really well-rounded list of activities. And again, I think kids feel really comfortable coming in and saying, can we do this? And so I love that.
Jerry, I thought you said a hugging club.
Hugging club.
A hiking club.
It's not a bad
There's quite a few
Yeah.
hikes, there's quite a few hikes along the building.
Hugging club at that age.
Any questions?
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear.
It's so great to hear how many opportunities there are for students and how they can have a student voice, but it's also heartwarming and amazing and not surprising at all to hear how involved all of the teachers are in making those opportunities for students and community members as well.
Some of those kids, I mean, they do math and science and spelling because they got to do math, science, and spelling. But sometimes it's these other things that really grab them. One of the kiddos from the hiking club, I got a picture on the first hike. I wasn't able to go, but I got a picture from Hillary, and she just, it was a kiddo. He was working with a high school kiddo, you know, looking at trees and things like that. So she just snapped the picture and sent it to me and said, entirely different kid in this setting.
Mhm.
Because school is tough
Yeah.
for kiddos. But there, it was just like in his element. And so,
And it goes back to, the research tells you that making that engagement with kids, making them feel connected, making them feel like they're important, all those things. Just the fact that we, we're able to do the rock band for one student that it started with, and obviously more kids got involved,
Right.
but, we're a relatively big school district, but at the same time, even one child matters, which is obviously the most important thing, so. Great, thank you all very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I am really excited about our second thing on our agenda. I am here now to formally announce that tonight on the board agenda, we will be nominating Heidi Early Hersey as our new curriculum coordinator. And so she is in that role right now, currently half-time, but technically employed by RSU 60. And so starting January 1st, it should be all ours, which is really exciting. So that role, we kept the same title. I think one of the tricky parts is just the way that the Maine retirement works, so just making sure you have the right title, but is included with the curriculum work will also be the Title IX, affirmative action, civil rights. There's just a lot of different hats that Heidi will wear. I just want to remind the board that this also is a cost-saving move on our part, where we're able to save the half a position administratively to be able to do this, and it worked out beautifully. We are absolutely thrilled to have Heidi, so I'm really excited, and just, obviously I can't say enough about the wonderful work that she does. I know all the principals would agree. So. In a few minutes, it will be official. So.
Well, you assume.
Yeah, well, we hope. You don't know how I feel about it, though. I guess I gotta say. But anyway. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is that we started to begin the work on the 2020-2021 calendar. A little bit of a unique calendar next year in that Labor Day falls on the 7th, which is kind of the latest possible.
Oh my goodness.
So that creates some interesting dynamics. In addition, the way the calendar falls with Christmas being on a Friday and the New Year's being over the weekend, we lose a couple of days of instruction in January. And so I think currently we have 21 days of instruction in January, and next year we'll have 19. So we kind of lose a couple of days there. Other factors we have to be mindful of is that with the SRTC, the vocational program, we can only have a 5-day variance with their calendar.
Yeah.
So we've got to be able to balance that. And then the other part, which is always kind of sneaks up on you, is that seniors have to be able to go to school 170 days. And so when you start planning that, it starts to get really tricky as far as when we look at the calendar, kind of the last day falls on a Friday. And so if you move up back a week earlier, you kind of, 170th day would be graduation, and so you have no room for margin of error if there's a snow day at all involved. So we've got to be able to balance that. So our process will be that we talked about it as an administrative group. They're going to take it back to their leadership teams. Once we kind of have our head around it a little bit, we'll then talk to the union just to kind of get their feedback as we always do, and then we'll bring it forward to all of you. But just kind of wanted to let you know there are some factors that are a little bit interesting this year, but just... and so one of the things that we're looking into is that I think it's the 11th maybe is the last Friday, or the 14th I think. And so graduation actually may be scheduled for the last day on the 175th day. But in reality, chances are that there's a couple of snow days at least in the middle there, which will push everything back. So we're not there yet, but just that will be a little bit different. It has happened in the past, but but currently, basically, graduation is a week before school gets out, and so just the way the calendar falls, it creates a little bit of difference than what we've been able to do in the past. So just to have that on your radar. Okay.
Do seniors have to make up snow days?
Seniors have to make up snow days to the point as long as they go 170 school days. So right now, with the 3 snow days, we are fine. Then once we
get over 5.
So
Get over 5?
it's actually
Good
the
thing
way
the
the
snow
calendar
season's
is.
almost
Yeah. With the calendar as it is right now, there was only a 3-day variance built in with that. Anything beyond that, we have to get creative, and so there's some things that we can do to be creative. Don't even say it. All right? So there's some things that we can do with our calendar that will certainly.
We've done it in the past.
Yeah, and so we've been able to work some things out, but we just hope we don't have to use too many more snow days. It's kind of.
You do realize it's only
I
December
know.
4th,
I
right?
feel like it's March. Like we're on the other side of it,
You're getting good at canceling.
Yeah, thanks.
Everybody loves you.
Yeah. They'll love me until June, and then wait a second. So, but that is something we're going to have to look at. And in the past, what we've been able to do is we've stopped the early start Thursdays, early release Thursdays, and created some time there. And so that's one of the things we're able to kind of make up some time. So we'll figure that all out. It will be what it will be, and we'll be creative. And I guarantee that kids will graduate. So that's the end of the day. That's the important thing. So. And that's the end of my report. Katie?
All right, so the quiz show is going to be, that's coming up. The team this year is Nate Rapucci, Elena Smith, Jay Whitesell, and Ned Whitesell. And the alternate is Owen Byrne, and the coach is Mr. Leitz. And so they're going to tape their first game show on Sunday, December 15th up in Lewiston. And then if they win, then they'll move on, but we won't know until it airs. And so it's going to be airing sometime in February. We don't have an exact date, but good luck to the quiz show team. Also, we kind of talked about the Holiday Bazaar at the last meeting, but it's this Saturday. It's from 9 to 3. Seniors can volunteer because this is a good chance to get community service hours since we need 50 to graduate. And also, the Interact Club is going to be having a can drive at the Holiday Bazaar. So I think that there's an announcement on Facebook. If not, then that'll probably be coming out soon. But anyone who's coming to the bazaar can bring in some non-perishable goods that'll go to the Elliott Lions Club. And if anybody forgets a can or anything, we're going to have a donation jar for the Interact Club, and it'll probably end up going to making Crossroads lunches, which is something that we do once a month. And then also we're having a can drive at the high school, and we're hoping to get it started this week. At the very latest, we'll start it very early next week, but that's going to be going till December 18th. And then again, the Elliott Lions Club will pick all that up on December 19th, both the cans from the Holiday Bazaar and from the high school food drive. And there's a little bit of an advisory competition, and the winner gets a pizza party, so hopefully that will motivate kids to donate. And also coming up with the Interact Club, the Winter Coat Drive is starting once again very soon. So all the coats are going to go to Project Community in Sanford, and we're going to be having a coat drive both at the high school and at the middle school. So the Interact Club is working with the student council at the middle school to try and get that going. And once again, we would hopefully like to get that started by the end of this week, and if not, early next week. And that's going on until January 10th, which at the high school, that's the week right before midterms. So hopefully kids over Christmas, they can go through their closets and they can pick out some coats that they don't wear anymore. Yeah.
Will there be like bins in the library or something?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely going to be a bin in the library at the high school. I think at the middle school, there's going to be one in the lobby or the library, wherever they think it's convenient. But, yeah, and then all the coats are going to Project Community.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay, so for sports, football won the state championship versus Brunswick on Saturday, so that's exciting.
Yay.
And that completely ends the fall sports, and now we're completely into winter sports. And so all the teams had their pitches today, and wrestling has their first meet tomorrow at 5 in York, and girls basketball has their first home game versus Westbrook at 6 Friday, and then the boys play in Westbrook at 7. And then on Saturday, the hockey team is playing in Augusta. I think it's like more than one game.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No?
at 6 o'clock.
Just a game.
Oh,
One
just
game?
Long drive for just a game.
Oh.
That's a long drive for one
12
game.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it at 5 a.m. too, or no? I'm just kidding.
There'll probably be something at 5 a.m.
And then, on Thanksgiving, we had 3 students who were in the Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was Nate Rapucci, Gabby Guinness, and Mia Serrano. And today, math team had a meet, and they lost by 1 point to Kenny Bunk, which is really good because last time they came in second by a lot, I think. So they're getting better. They're doing good.
1 point with kind of
Yeah.
bad numbers.
So wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
I read the whole thing, about how come football plays in Class B and soccer plays in Class A. Well, why does not the same thing apply for soccer?
Great question. I'm not sure the answer to that. I think that there's more teams playing soccer, and I think what basically happens is there's a committee for each one of the programs, and so the MPA kind of draws these imaginary lines for whatever reason, and so that's the million-dollar
Does
question.
it have to do with the size of the teams too? How many people it takes to field the team at all?
I don't think
I think it has
so,
to do
because
with
there's a
teams.
million kids on football.
Well, it's really the sport, because you have, basketball, which is, technically kind of in class B, but they don't call it B anymore, it's double A.
It's A and double A.
And so like,
Yeah.
it's just depending on the individual sport, and they get these groups together and kind of make these determinations, which is just, and if you look at Class B, it's really all of the Class A schools, with the exception of,
Yeah,
for
the
us,
new-
Scarborough, Thornton, and Bonnie Eagle. The rest is kind of on the other side of the state. So it's just really interesting how they do it. I think there's just been a lot of talk about how do you draw these lines that just don't necessarily make a lot of sense sometimes, where, baseball, there's 16 teams in Class A, football, there's 8 teams in Class A, it's really weird. I don't know how else to.
Do we
It's
have
like
any, like,
in soccer, they
control
play
over
against
it?
all these huge schools, like much bigger schools than we are.
Absolutely,
And-
absolutely.
And then, they say about football, it has to do that. It's like, that makes no sense to me.
I think what's happening also is that you have a couple of schools that continue to get bigger while the other schools' population is shrinking. And I think so you're going to see that in all sports now, where, Thornton Academy, as you're talking up, is 1,400 students. So I think that starts to be a whole nother ball of wax with it. I think at some point they've got to address the fact that there are 3 or 4 school districts that are really, really big in comparison to, we're shrinking. And so I think it's a tough mix, absolutely.
Do we have any say in it or control over it?
I think we have say in the fact that, Mr. Buzzell can go and kind of be a delegate, or we can write a letter around it, but it doesn't happen every year. There's a cycle that goes through. The coaches have
Petition,
represented.
right, to be
Yep.
up or go down?
You can petition to go up or go down. Coaches, there's a coaches group. There's also coaches that are on the kind of the scheduling committee or the classification committee. So there's a lot of moving parts. But when you have those big committees, you're getting people from Augusta, from, Millinocket, it's not just kind of like the southern Maine piece. So, there's a lot of different perspectives that are, travel for some people is really an important thing. So, it's tricky. Yep.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Football's crushing everybody in Class B, and,
Right.
soccer's hanging on in Class A.
Yeah, and really it's not, I mean, there's this really strange kind of where these lines are, and they kind of drew lines before, and then they redrew the lines, and so one of the issues that you run into with all of the scheduling, or all of the classification, is that they use data that's almost 2 years old. And so when you look at classification, for instance, they look at, a couple of years ago, we were around 800 students, and now being at like 738, 740, that's a huge difference, but their data is kind of, you're being judged on 2 years ago as opposed to where you are currently. And so I think there's just a lot of nuances that I think, there's been some issues that have been brought up with the MPA around this. And I think, there's been a lot of athletic directors have been very outspoken about it because they feel like it just doesn't make sense. So,
It doesn't.
yeah. Yep.
All right, next is correspondence, we don't have any. As far as the report of the committee's finance and facilities meets before the next meeting, and I guess Ed Policy meets that day as well.
Busy day.
Wow.
And the Wellness
Oh,
Committee is
and
meeting
the
that day.
meeting in the morning, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do we meet on the 18th?
And
That's
the
right,
health
there's, oh my
meeting, too.
goodness.
Yeah, it's a big day.
After.
It is a big day.
Yeah.
All right.
There's 4 groups meeting that day, right? That's a busy one.
Oh, yeah, and you're meeting that day too.
Town
Yeah.
officials, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. That day. Well, we will all be meeting out by the end of the day. All right, so we'll move on to new business, and can I have a motion to nominate Heidi as the new curriculum?
I move to nominate Heidi Early-Hersey, Curriculum Coordinator, $108,233 prorated to start date.
Second. All right. We all know her, we all love her.
This is
We
the
have
part
any
where we
questions?
interview her?
Yeah, that's right,
Sit down.
Just get the list of questions.
Do we have a start date?
January 1st.
Yay!
So-
You coming in?
Are we doing December 31st?
I think we're doing December 31st, just so there's not a lapse. But yeah.
It's all about what Therese needs to make the insurance.
Yeah,
work.
the insurance.
Gotcha.
Fair enough.
All right, well, we look forward to that. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, all those in favor? Wonderful.
Yeah, I guess you were right, John.
Okay.
Welcome aboard.
Again.
The full-time train. All right, and policy was very busy, as you can see. Can I have a motion for the first policy, AC?
I'll move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, and affirmative action, AC, Alpha Charlie.
Oh, here we go. Nice, Paul.
I'll second.
All right. As I'm sure you figured out, as you were reading through all these, there's a change in the legal determination of gender identity, or what I want to say, definition. So we have several policies that had to be amended to include that new definition.
And that's the sole change to this one.
That's good.
That is the sole
I think it's the
change.
sole change to all of them. It's the same
Yeah,
common
and
theme.
I think maybe there
Some subtle.
a couple, there was some
Yep.
subtle other changes, but for the most part, it's really, because some of these we just did
Yep.
a couple months
Less
ago.
than a year,
Yeah. If you think you just saw them, you did just see them. So, yeah, going with the legal definition. That's-
Absolutely.
Seems prudent.
Yeah, it's the way to stay out of trouble.
That's right.
That's right. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, it'll come back for a second read if you come up with any, or
Can I just say
any
one
changes?
quick
Oh,
thing?
sure, I'm sorry,
And that's
John.
why when we did the transgender guidelines, we decided to go with guidelines, not a policy, because, you know,
They
the
keep changing.
Chairman Wisdom kind of predicted that there will be a number of changes over the next few years in this area, so I would not be surprised to see these policies again soon, but also we have the flexibility to kind of change our policy without having to go through, you know, 2 formal readings, so.
All right, so all those in favor of this one? Okay. And then a motion for ACAA.
I move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy harassment and sexual harassment of students, ACAA.
A second. All right, and on this one, same scenario, and then also, they talked about the Title IX coordinator or the affirmative action. So since that's the same person in our district, our newly appointed Heidi, we just thought it would be a good idea to acknowledge that both of those positions are covered in this.
Makes sense.
All right, and again, this will come back for another reading at the next meeting as well. So if nobody has any questions, all those in favor? All right, and ACAAR is the next one.
I'll move we approve the first reading and discussion of the policy, student discrimination and harassment complaint procedure, ACAR.
That was no fun.
Alpha Charlie, Alpha Alpha Romeo.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. All right. I think we're just cruising along that same train, right? We did have a lot of discussion about if the principal was unavailable, that they would be able to easily acknowledge a designee so that things could move forward. So that was something that the committee added, again, the Title I or Title IX coordinator, or investigator, obviously was another thing, just in case there was a reason not to have the Title IX coordinator, they were unavailable or for whatever reason. So did anybody have any questions reading through there? Again, it's just the same stuff. No other substantive changes to the policy. All right, if there's no questions, all those in favor? Okay, and the next one, ACAB.
I move we approve, first reading and discussion of policy harassment and sexual harassment of school employees, ACAB.
Second.
Can I just say one other quick thing about these?
Absolutely.
I think one of the parts that, you know, we've spent a lot of time as the administrative team talking about is that when an incident is brought forward to us, the investigation process and the complaint procedure are very, very different than what we typically would do. So if there were, some people weren't acting probably in the lunchroom. It's you bring students to the office, you talk to them, you do a quick investigation, and then you kind of figure out how to handle that at that point. With this, it's a much more in-depth where you get a group of people together to be able to talk about like what are the current remediations. So for instance, if we needed to move kids off a bus or change a kid's schedule or a staff member, dealing with a staff member, but a lot of that is now kind of much bigger where there's more people involved. And so the complaint procedure is now, it really involves, could be the principal, could be myself, could be Heidi, where we're all in a room kind of talking about, kind of getting an idea like what are the current remediations. Then there's also a very clear appeal process for things, which basically is based on if we have faulty evidence or our process was off. And so it's a little bit different than a child gets sent to the office, and now they have detention. It doesn't work like that. So we kind of retraining staff as far as how do our procedures work.
Sure.
So just so everyone's clear.
So this one, John, is for this particular one
Yep.
is of school employees. There was no
If they're part of it.
real difference, right?
Nope.
I have a question about one of the additions, though.
That would be genetic information.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
first time I've seen genetic information, and I was wondering whether that referred specifically to chromosomal sex versus gender identity, or if it was more along the lines of proclivity to heart problems or things like that. I'm just curious about what the discussion was that led to the addition of that genetic information.
Where is that?
Under harassment.
Under harassment.
Wait,
It's one of the two phrases that's highlighted in yellow.
Genetic information.
yeah. We did talk about this.
We
Yeah.
did talk about it. I think
I'm just curious.
It was more like the now that we have the 1, 2, 3 and me's and all
Yeah.
of those tests that
Yeah.
are out there, if things come out that maybe
Yep.
you didn't know, such as your heart, for
Yeah,
example.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, and also
What do you
that
think?
you could have thought you were white, but after
Right.
after the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
genetic
Right.
information, people are
Sure.
finding out that they are maybe a
Exactly.
different race than
Yep.
they really thought that they were.
Right.
I think that was one of the
Yeah.
things that
Or
we
a
talked
relative.
about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And those are all, kind of from MSMA and Drummond and Woodson.
Yeah, I presumed it was from them, yeah.
We just thought we'd throw that.
Yes,
in.
right.
Yes, right. We came up with that one.
I was going to congratulate whoever policy committee came up with that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
It took us a
thank
bit,
you.
though, to figure out the genetic
We did have a
information.
discussion about
Yeah,
it.
we
Well, what does
did.
that mean?
Because
Yeah.
is that like, feels like that might not be legal, even,
Yeah.
like.
Thank you.
About the genetic information?
Yeah, like how could you require somebody to provide
No, not provided, but you can't be harassed on it. So like,
Based on
say
that.
you told me
that?
that you got your 23andMe back and that you're, I don't know, whatever, Eastern European. And I decide I don't like Eastern Europeans.
Oh, gotcha.
So I start harassing you on it,
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, not that you have to disclose what it said.
This is all harassing.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
harassing.
it's all
Yeah.
harassing.
There's been a lot of, with the 23andMe, like people finding out that they're related to other people. That they-
Yeah.
That's just been
Yeah.
really hard for them to be
Yeah.
able to kind of process. And so I
Yeah.
think that's part of what
Right.
this would all.
It's only the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
That's happened, I'm sure. So,
It's a different world now.
it is. It is. Does anybody else have any other questions on that one? Okay, then all those in favor? All right, again, that one will come back with all the others. And the last one, the procedure for ACAB.
I'll move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy, employee, and third-party discrimination, harassment, complaint, and procedure, ACABR.
Second.
All right. And again, this is sort of the same thing. We did have a conversation about the vendors, and we added in the others having lawful access, right? Because we felt that vendors didn't cover
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. But the purpose of that change is to expand the notion of who is covered by this policy.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good.
Yep, yep. And third parties.
I think some of the confusion also ran into the volunteer policy that we had, where we have kind of the 3 levels of volunteers, and just, I think, just making this kind of open up the umbrella a little bit wider.
Yep. And then we also had a bit of discussion around if John was not available, because it says approved by the superintendent. If for some reason John was unavailable, he could designate someone to do that in his place, so that things wouldn't be held up, investigations wouldn't be delayed in any way. We all know John is always available, so that's probably never going to happen, but just in case.
That's right.
To be covered.
I think the group in particular that we got a little bit concerned about was like speech and language pathologists that maybe work outside the district, or psychological examiners that may work outside the district who aren't technically employees, but they're, they are coming into the district lawfully to be able to do some work for us.
Right.
So,
Just wanted to make sure everybody was covered.
Yep.
All right, so does anybody have any questions about that one? Beside that? All right, all those in favor then? Okay, and the last thing is to accept the donation for $1,000. Can I have a motion?
Our motion, we accept the donation of $1,000 to MGWS from Pumpkin Man Triathlon.
In a second.
So you wonder how he does all those little things he was talking about?
Yeah.
Here you go. Second week in a row.
I know. Do you have anything planned for the money yet?
Well, I'll talk about our outdoor platform on when we do others, so that may be something that we can work with. But again, I think we get that money because we have so many staff that volunteer to work that. I know other organizations do as well, but I just put an email out to staff. I said, can you come on Sunday? And just, I think we had 15, 18 staff members that just spent most of the day on Sunday. Which, we're not the only one, but that says something about the staff. And it's just,
It says something about you also. I mean,
What's that?
it says something about you. I mean, that's.
It does.
well, I told them I do their evaluations.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's great. Well, we thank Pumpkin Man too.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All those in favor? We never turn down money,
No,
so.
that's right.
Okay, before we adjourn into executive session, Nina or Jerry, do you have anything else? I know you've told us a lot today, but.
I just wanted to say that today felt like the first day of school after a
I know.
long weekend and 2 snow days.
I know. It's crazy.
I lived and worked in a number of states, and in all of those places, children are never allowed outside to play when there's snow because, they might get wet or whatever, I don't know. That's just, so I've lived in Maine for quite a while, and my favorite thing still is watching kids play on the playground. Just to watch them in a deep snow like today, it's just like a whole world of play material out there for them to roll and tunnel and swim and just laugh and build together. It's so much fun. I just can't get enough of it. And so I was talking to first graders today about what they can do in the snow and what they can't at school. I said I might bring my snow pants tomorrow and just come out and play with you because I love to do that. And one of my old first graders looked at me and he said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Well, you've got work to do. You have jobs, so you can't do that." Now the challenge is there. I'm bringing my snow pants.
Did you say I'm the boss? I can go out and play whenever I want?
I never say that. I just have to say, shh, don't tell anybody.
Make sure you follow the rules though if you go outside tomorrow. Right?
At least you didn't say you're too old.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to say. You're too old to play. That's what I thought he was going to say.
They know better.
Yeah. Nina?
Yep, the Monday before Thanksgiving, it was like a long time ago, but we had the BA students come for community service, and they were going to paint more lines on the hot top, but that it was too cold, so they came in and switched our thinking, and they made creative messages and inspirational messages all over our bathroom walls, and they just looked so nice, and they did a lot of raking, so we're so nice to partner with the BA students.
Awesome.
Every year they do community service, and tomorrow night and tomorrow day is our Nutcracker performance, so it's probably like I don't know how many years they've been doing it for a really, really long time. So Rachel Moore does just an incredible job, and it's so much fun seeing the third graders. And this year we rented, because of our new sound system, we were able to rent headsets for the rest of the kids. We're going to hear the kids at the Nutcracker, so it's going to be even more incredible. So we're really excited.
That's awesome.
Two things. When Katie was talking about the high schools doing a food drive, I know all the schools did it at Thanksgiving and great work as well. But that Kool-Aid Club, to give you an example of something they did, so they helped organize that. And then Wendy Shaw, Sarah Alice, Ellen Cronauer, and we divide the food, half of it goes to Southborough, half of it goes to Elliott. And so the Tuesday before vacation, we took the Kool-Aid group up to the food pantry and we delivered all the food and we met some folks there. And just to have the kids talk about just hunger, you know, and that there are people in our own community that, you know, really rely on this. And then where do like Hannaford is a big contributor to the food pantry. And so the kids were really, you know, in awe, I think. And then they got into the discussion of, you know, the kids said, well, do you guys get paid to do this? And they would say, no, we're volunteers. And so then they got into this whole discussion about, you know, volunteering your community. So, you know, taking some cans of food up to the food pantry really turned into something different. And when you were talking about what we use money for Pumpkin Man for, you know, who knows, $1,000 go a long way. But the MEF, when we did our dream school back in August, one of the biggest thing that we talked about for our staff was to have an outdoor classroom, to be able to create this outdoor classroom. And so the committee has worked diligently on it. We wrote a grant and we received just before Thanksgiving over $10,000 MEF grant for the start of this.
Wow,
And so
that's great.
We've actually got a design of what it will look like, and it's going to be different phases, but it's impressive. And so, so we're
Is it going to be out back?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's going to be, we've got a classroom, and it's got a roof and the whole 9 yards. But then we're also going to look at a performance up in the woods, like a performance area, and then more of a more rustic classroom. So we've got a lot of things that we're planning.
That's wonderful.
Good job, start.
That's wonderful. Catherine, anything?
Actually, had a chance to meet with the guidance counselor, so part of what I do is overseeing the 504 piece as well. And it was the first time that I was able to, and actually I think they were able to come together as a whole group, K through 12, and we had some really good discussions in terms of difference between special ed and 504 and how to navigate it, and just the whole process and things that have changed within the 504 rules. So it was a really good meeting that we had before Thanksgiving.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so if no one has anything else, can I have a motion to go into executive session, and then we will take a break?
I move that we enter into an executive session for the purpose of legal rights and duties of school unit 1 MRSA, section 405, paragraph 6E, which I read today online, so it was kind of cool.
All right.